Go for you guys. But basically, this is just a raw webinar I wanted to do. Something kind of abrupt that I wanted to do because of the market environments that are there right now. So I noticed that there are many traders that are struggling with the current market environment. The setups aren't as clean, which I noticed as well. The smart money is not really participating, so they're not really showing their hand as they usually do. And the impatience here in the community and just overall, I can see it on X, Twitter, other communities everywhere. The traders that aren't really used to these kind of environments, they're just kind of panicking, or the impatience is just high. They're not really familiar with what's going on in the market anyways. But simply the market is just doing exactly what it's designed to do, and it's wiping out the amateur traders and it's rewarding the experienced ones that are waiting. So that's something we're going to be talking about, and I'm also going to be talking about how you can kind of stay a little bit more patient towards those trappy moves, those lower volume moves, how you can identify chop, how you can identify when to stay away from the market, and when the quality and environment is right for the market as well. So we'll start off here in the main chat as well. I am going to require you guys to participate a little bit if you guys have any of the answers. I know, like I said, a bunch of you guys are busy, so if you can't, don't worry about it. But just to see if everyone is kind of on the same page. So the main thing I'll start off with is if anyone even knows what changed, like what makes the market environment different than what it was just a few weeks ago. If anyone here knows. And you can just, okay, there's an answer in the main chat. Yeah, you could just put it in the main chat if you have it. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm seeing some good answers there. Great. Yeah, it looks like everyone or majority of the answers, they're all right there. Or almost all of them are right there. Great answers there. So for the folks that are paying attention, yes, we are at all-time highs. And yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna address this real quick before we start. If you can't see the stream, don't worry about it. I'm not putting up anything on my stream right now, so you don't really need to look at my stream. If there's a chart that I need to look at, I'll post it here in the main chat. So hopefully that helps. But yeah, so the main difference in the market environment now is the all-time highs. Yes, that's true that the Nasdaq and the ES did break towards all-time highs just a few weeks ago, and the last few months that we've been trading these upside movements, downside movements, whatever they were, there were some great moves, but now we're at all-time highs. This is completely different from the market environment we had just a few weeks ago, a few months ago, where we were actually in a range and we had levels, had support, had resistance, and we can see where the smart money is sitting. Now that we're all-time highs, of course, that is a completely different market environment. And not many people have any idea of what's going to be happening at the all-time high. So that's why you're seeing the smart money is also sitting back. They're showing less of their positions. We saw over 100 million on the market high before. Yesterday, I think it was around 70 million, right? And it's lower today. What is it at right now? Look at it. Yeah, it's like around 50 million right now on the market side. So obviously lower volume than usual. And yeah, a bunch of you guys said the other main important thing is that even though it is all-time highs, that does create a completely different market environment as well. Another key thing this time is that as we get to these all-time highs, yes, the tariff deadlines are here. So if you guys remember just a few months ago, we had the tariff deadlines or tariff headlines in the market, and they were causing some very challenging environments to trade in. So you guys woke up one day, you saw Trump talking about tariffs hitting that day, and we saw the market tanking. The next day, you saw him taking off the tariffs or something like this. There were rumored headlines. There were some statements he said they weren't true. Overall, that tariff headline environment, it was causing a mess in the market. It was messing up setups. It was messing me up as well. And everyone here noticed that. All the traders across the board noticed that in the market, right? So this time we're at all-time highs. That creates a completely different market environment. And on top of that, the headlines are back. The deadlines are back on the tariffs. So this week he handed out a bunch of tariff deadlines, letters to these countries, and obviously that makes for a new market environment as well now. These are the differences that we have, the main differences that we have in the market. If you weren't able to identify this within the last week or 2 weeks, that's what's going on right now. That's the main key differences that we have right now. And obviously it's going to change up the way the price moves, change up the way the smart money positions, and it's going to change up a whole bunch of things, right? So we'll start off with the main thing here. And I will post the chart if you want to look at the SPY chart. It's not really too important. Let me just switch over to it though. We'll actually look at the SPX chart just because I have less things on my SPX chart, so it could be a little less confusing for the folks here. But I have it up on my stream. I just posted in the main chat as well, and I'll put a picture up for the people that are in the. Well, I'll just put it up on the recording as well. So if you're in the recording later, you can see this as well. But here's SPY or SPX. You can see for the last 2 weeks, we've been just grinding up higher every single day. So every single day, we either made a higher high or we stayed within that range, right? You can see it on my chart. You can see it on the chart that I posted as well. Every single day, higher high, or we stayed in the range. There were no days where we broke that previous daily low until yesterday. Yesterday was the first day we broke that previous daily low. Now that itself changes the market environment as well. So yesterday was the first day we broke the previous daily low after we had a streak in the market of going up and continuing up towards all-time highs. We finally closed one of the gaps. We're seeing some downside volume and momentum coming in, and that's causing for some volatility here as well. So we're now sideways on the price today, just sitting in that range. So obviously we need some consolidation here. We need to see pullback. The market's not going to go up forever. We do need to see this pullback, but it's great to see it happening kind of within this tight range right now. And I think that's setting up for some great setups for the rest of the the individuals. So Meta, Amazon, some of these individuals we talked about. I'm going to touch on them as well, but I'm just trying to show the kind of differences that are happening in the market. So we had a 2 weeks of upside continuation on the market. It's great strength, great upside positions that we had. So if you guys remember, we were tackling the Meta semis, so SMCI, Google setups. There were Master, so MSTR, AMD, Apple, a bunch of these setups we were looking at focus on the upside. But now it's time to change that focus as we are taking out some of the downside in the market. We do have to watch where the smart money is too. So smart money, we saw them hitting these names, the hot names that I like to call them. We saw them hitting them every single day, every single week while the market was uptrending. If you notice the flow this week, it's been really quiet. They aren't there. They aren't hitting these positions, right? So there's no need to kind of front run that move. Is what I've mainly been trying to emphasize too. Is that don't try to be a hero, and I have to say in that way is that because the smart money with the millions of dollars that we're used to seeing positioning into these trades for say weekly, next week positions, they're not there. You can open the flow, you can see it as clear as day and night as to how much repeat activity and strong activity we used to see compared to what there is right now. Now, another key thing that changes the market environment this week. I don't know how many of you guys tuned in on Monday morning, Monday pre-market. I talked about that this is a week that we have a lack of red folder news. So we saw that throughout the day, throughout the weeks, we had some insane red folder news. This week we actually lack red folder news. So we only have two events, and one of them is actually just the Fed FOMC minutes, and then we have the other claims. So those are the two red folder events that are this week. But way lower than usual on the red folder side for events. So we have lower catalysts this week as well. That can cause some volatility within a tight range, is what I talked about yesterday. And it looks like that's what's happening right now on the market, overall market. Those are some of the main things I wanted to discuss as to what kind of changes the market environment here as a difference from a few weeks ago or just 2 3 weeks ago to what's happening now within like a week or two now. And those are the main differences that I've been noticing. And there was another point I wanted to bring up here is that, let me take a look at what I had written down. Okay, so yeah, some of these setups that I have identified to be, very dead setups. I hate to talk about tickers that way, but I will tell you guys know when there's a dead setup. So you guys heard me say clearly, Tesla under 330 was a dead setup. Still, I saw a bunch of you guys trading it, right? And then under 300, I also mentioned that was a dead setup. I saw a bunch of you guys trading it, still forcing trades, getting clapped on them. I mentioned Amazon under 224. There is no long setup. We are waiting for a 5-minute close, 15-minute close above 224. Still, I saw people trading it and just fighting the main levels, main key identifying or identified levels that we are seeing in the market. That the market needs to see some acceleration, to see flow coming in above these levels, but still people are fighting them. So what I would suggest is that you find out these key levels. If you don't want to use the levels I'm providing, clearly some people don't want to use them, then just go identify it for yourself. Where's the bullish level for Tesla, right? And I don't think it's down at 298. I don't see why it would be. I don't think Amazon's along at 220. I don't see why Meta would be along at 216. And just a bunch of these tickers that I can identify the key levels. I know when the breakout would happen. I know when there's consolidation, there's an inside bar. We're waiting for that daily high break. So if there's no daily high break, there is no trigger. I've been using that system for years now. So when I'm staying away from that chop, it really doesn't make sense to see why so many people are kind of going against that advice and just trying to long those names. If there's no news, there's no catalyst, there's no momentum, there's no flow, and there is no main important thing is there is no trigger for that upside move, then there is no reason to be longing it. That brings me to my next point here is the strat. You guys know that I trade mainly off the strat. My whole strategy, everything kind of just revolves around the strat. So look at all these setups on the daily time frame now. Another piece that kind of requires you to participate a little bit here is that if do you know which part of the strat brings consolidation? Is it an inside bar or outside bar? Like, I'm gonna ask if anyone knows here. Okay, great. So inside bar, yeah, looks like many of you are saying inside bar, one bar. That's right. That's correct. Great job to those folks. So an inside bar definitely means consolidation. That means it hasn't broken the previous daily high and it hasn't broken the previous daily low. Now, I know a bunch of you guys are mentioning that in the chat right now. You guys were here about an hour ago or maybe 2 hours ago when I was talking about, I see a bunch of you guys saying that these tickers are making explosive moves that, Tesla's flying, X ticker is flying, this ticker is flying. I pull it up and I see it's not even moving, right? Take a look at Apple. I'll post it here for you guys. Here's Apple. Oh, sorry, that's not my Apple chart. The indicator, I'll let you know the indicator right after this session. Kench, I'll post the indicators after this. But there's my Apple chart. Just take a look at it on the daily. So a bunch of you guys were saying Apple was flying. Intraday, yes, it was making a pretty decent move. But I did mention always start off on the larger time frames, right? So if you take a look at Apple on the weekly, it's still within that last week range. So we had a range put in last week. We're in the same range. Now take a look at it on the daily. It's in that yesterday's range. So are we really missing anything? Is Apple doing something that it didn't do yesterday? It's in the same price as it was yesterday. We're not missing anything on Apple, right? If it took out yesterday's high and it's accelerating over 216, 214, yes, that is a strong move. That is breaking. That is doing something that we haven't seen this week. But this week right now is consolidating. There's nothing going on Apple, right? So that brings me to the next move. And basically, I mentioned the inside bars because it is an inside bar. Yes, it did flash that low, so it's not technically a one bar, but it is inside that previous daily price action. So it barely flashed that low and it went right back in. And if you remember in the pre-market we talked about, I want to see Apple consolidated within an inside bar today. I want to see a 3-1. It didn't do a 3-1 because it flashed that low, but overall it's still holding that inside bar. It's holding that yesterday's price action. So these are key things you have to identify. So Apple, obviously one of the major holdings of the market. And if it's consolidating, why would you expect the rest of the market to be expanding, right? So we're looking at Apple consolidating. One of the main things I talked about this morning as well is we want to see an Apple 3-1 bar today, and it's holding the daily inside bar. So we'll take a look at SPY next, or SPX, whichever one you prefer. And I'm just going to mark these two levels out here. And that is yesterday's high and yesterday's low. If you have these levels, great. The high is 62.62, and the low is down at 62.01. We'll just call it 6200 flat. And let me post this chart here as well. But here's that yesterday's high and yesterday's low. Now, if you're looking at SBX today, intraday, yes, it is making some moves, but it's inside bar. It's a daily inside bar. That means consolidation. You guys just all answered me. You guys all know that means consolidation. So why are we trying to force trades? We haven't broken out that previous daily high. We haven't broken out the previous daily low. There is no setup here. There is no momentum. You bought calls today. You bought puts today. You're holding either one right now. They're wrecked on both sides, right? There is no setup here for either side. I mean, yeah, great. If you scalped a little bit of the move, that's great. If you scalp something off the flow, that's great. But overall, there are no major moves happening in the market, right? And I think a lot of people aren't really understanding that. They're trying to think that, or they are thinking that they're missing out on some of the major moves. They're missing out on something crazy. Maybe you had a bad trade yesterday, and maybe you're just trying to revenge trade today, and you don't want to miss it. You don't want to miss that breakout, so you're just trying to position yourself. But I'm sorry, but both sides got wrecked today, and that's because it's an inside bar, and there were enough warnings given out on that as well today. So overall, I'm bringing up the strat. I'm bringing up the inside bar again because that's mainly what we use here. I talk about it every day, and I do give my guidance here every single day. So from the pre-market and into the live session for a few hours, I'm here. I'm giving my guidance. And again, I'm going to mention this again. That is not part of Ghostboard. Ghostboard is an options data platform. I'm here providing my guidance on a daily basis. So I would really try to pay attention to these kind of things. So the inside bar, you guys all have access to the scanner. You guys all have access to see what's breaking the previous daily high, what's breaking the previous daily low. If it's not breaking, that means we're consolidating and we're stuck in an inside bar. You guys all know that's consolidation, so please just stop trying to force those trades. And that's bringing me back to the main topic is that even with the market environment right now, you guys know the market environment too. You guys know we're at all-time highs. We have these tariff deadlines, or sorry, yeah, the deadlines, and the headlines are hitting every single day. And on top of that, now we have an inside bar today where SPX is not really moving much. Smart money, the volume is super low as compared to usual, and all the signs are telling us to stay away from this price action. I know it's a really hard thing to do to stay away from the price action. It's hard to build that patience up, but it's something you really do have to do, right? And I'll just kind of give you an example here is majority of these careers, the main careers out there, you want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer, you got to go to school for 4 years, right? You got to participate, you got to go get your license, do all these things. It takes 4 years to get a good paying career. Trading would probably be one of the most highest paying careers out there, but most people, they want the success overnight. They want it in a month, a week, whatever it is. I'm sorry, but that's just not going to happen. Like if that was your goal, that was your dream, I'm sorry, I got to break it here, but that's not going to happen. If you're not ready to put in at least a year, try to build some good experiences, to build some good rules, habits, strategies around that, it's not really the type of thing for you, right? It's not something that you can just show up every day and just try to slam some buttons and be better at. You really do have to put in the work. You got to be there every single day to soak up everything that's going on in the market. Identifying the market conditions is probably one of the most important things because it's going to happen every single year, right? Sorry, if the stream is full, there's nothing on the chart that I'm looking at. Every single chart I posted in the main chat, so you could take a look at it. There's nothing too important on the chat. It's mainly when I'm talking about the topics here. But yeah, basically, even when you go to school for some of these careers, right, you got to be there every single day. Yeah, you might be originally everyone's different. Everyone has a different mental capability. Some people might have more mental strength to be more patient. Whatever it is, regardless, you have to be showing up there every single day and improving, regardless of what your strengths and weaknesses are, right? The same thing goes for trading. Show up every day, take a look at what I'm putting out in the pre-market. It's important stuff. I spend hours doing that analysis, right? I don't have to share it with anyone. I'm doing that out of as an extra thing for Ghostboard, giving my guidance here every single day, but that's not what Ghostboard is. I still provide that guidance on a daily basis. I would really pay attention to the stuff I put out, mark it down on your charts, put it down on a sticky note, whatever it takes for you to kind of remember it throughout the day or throughout the session, and kind of try to identify how you can do that on your own. And it will take you a long way. And like I was just saying, one of the points I was just making is that the cycle in the market is going to repeat itself over and over again, right? You'll see the same exact things happen. You know, another key thing is that the short weeks. So yeah, I did mention the short weeks as well. So last week we had a short week, and just a few weeks ago we had a short week as well. I did mention that a few times that the short weeks do bring some tighter price action, and the weeks right after the short weeks bring them too, right? And this is exactly what we're seeing. We just had a short week in the market, and now we're having another low volume week in the market. Even though last week was a short week, this week we have lower volume. Now, the only reason I know that is because I've been trading the market for years and I can kind of pick up on these things subconsciously, even if I'm not too focused, even if there's no indicator or no statistic telling me straight up that, hey, the week after short weeks are a little lower on volume. That's something you'll pick up on your own if you're there, if you're showing up, and if you're putting in the effort every day to kind of improve. Even if you're improving by just 1% every single day and you're noting something down, you will eventually pick up on these things naturally and you will improve naturally too. So that's another key thing that, even though it is a short, even the short week was last week, overall, if you do have the experience and if you do have the screen time and if you have been putting in the effort, you will notice that the volume could be lower. That's why I give you guys all the warnings from ahead of time. From Monday morning, I told you guys that it could be a tighter week. We have low catalysts. We have the tariff news coming or deadlines this week as well, and it could bring some volatility, but in a tight range. And that's exactly what's happening right now. And I know that a lot of traders are getting crushed, right? And I know that because the market setups are frustrating. There have been setups that we are looking to long and they haven't triggered, but obviously the amateur traders are in. Some of the flow is in too. We can see some of the flow is being detected. So that brings me to another point I wanted to make is that meta flow from this morning. A bunch of you guys saw me share some meta flow on not the flow AI, but meta flow, just a flow module on the 720 strike calls this morning. Now I did talk about meta, and let me just pull up the chart here before I bring up the rest. And yeah, sorry guys, I know there's a few questions there. I'll address them all just after this. I just don't want to lose my train of thought there. But here's the meta setup from today. So I did give clear warnings that there will be a fake out move and it's supposed to go down to the 700s. Now, even though it's not down at 700s today, there were so many fake out moves on meta. And we saw the flow coming in today as well, but flow AI didn't detect it. That's another key thing I want to bring up as well is that if the flow is there, we want to still look at the overall market conditions. We want to see what's going on there. And we want to see, okay, if flow AI isn't detecting it, maybe there's one piece of the algorithm that hasn't been hit off yet. And you can see that's exactly what happened today. So even though we saw the flow today, we waited for the flow AI confirmation. We waited for this to break some key levels and we're just watching the 5 minute closes. And overall, it just failed every single time. So if you're looking at it on a 5 minute time frame, it might be a little easier to see this. Sure. Here's the 5 minute time frame. And you can see those candles on there. So the red candles, take a look at those from 720 price action to 716. That's a huge drop, right? And that's not usually the kind of price action we see on Meta. You don't see these $5 candles happening back to back to back. Like, look at that. We had the drop. The next candle, we're back up $5. Two candles later, we're back down $5. It's insane price action. It's unusual market environments. This is not what we're used to. So I'm not really comfortable with tying my risk down. That's why we're looking at the flow. Flow AI showed us that there wasn't much unusual activity being detected by the actual AI system. And that's why we stayed away from this meta. And overall, even if you took longs, even if you took shorts, overall, you're just getting smacked around all over on this meta setup. And that same thing goes for all types of setups today. And I know there were enough clear warnings. I was emphasizing it since the morning. I know Rickster mentioned it a few times as well, but there were enough clear warnings where I said this that try to stay away from these moves right now. And it's one of the hardest things to do. I know it's hard to build that patience. It's hard to stay away from the market because you're either trying to get that next trade on a continued streak. You're trying to go for that next continued win, or you're trying to revenge trade and you might be lost about it, or mad about a loss and you're just trying to get that back. It's one of the worst things you can do. I'm telling you right now is just be patient, build your patience around the market because the market it doesn't care about what you want. It doesn't care about if you lost your last trade, if you won your last trade. It's going to do what it's going to do. And if it's telling you to stay away from it, just stay away from it. Don't try to jump that. And that was the main kind of point of this whole webinar too. I just wanted to do something raw because I noticed that this was something that came up abruptly. The market pushing towards all-time highs. These deadlines, they didn't come up too abruptly, but I have been kind of giving the warnings from last month that they are coming out July 9 on that week, and here we are on the July 9 week, and it looks like that's what's happening here. So it might be unexpected for you, but I did give out the warnings here, and I just thought I need to bring this up to kind of get everyone on the same page as to what's going on in the market environment right now, and the best way to kind of navigate this right now. So wait for the smart money, I would say. Wait for them to show their aggressive hand. We've seen it. If you guys have forgotten, maybe some of you guys just forgot exactly what strong money looks like or smart money looks like. We have enough screenshots on my Twitter. We have enough screenshots that I have on my phone. I can post them for you guys if you want. But there has been nothing like that this week, right? In terms of flow. And you guys all know that. You guys have been using flow for months now. Some of you guys have been using it for years. Some maybe more than 5 years, right? And you guys know there's no unusual activity this week. So just really try to follow the smart money. Don't try to front run some of the $1 million traders that are out there. Yeah, I'll put some examples from the smart money in the chat. If you want right now, go ahead, look in the technical analysis chat. Just scroll up from last week. There must be some great examples of trades that we had with the smart money. And just compare it to what's going on this week. There are no positions they're hitting over and over again into short term. So the weekly expirations, uh, something out the money on the strikes. And there's not, absolutely nothing like that, right? Even if you just look at the notifications coming in on your phone, you would see the last few weeks, Apple, right? You'd see like 5, 6 alerts coming in on Apple, weekly calls, Meta weekly calls. You guys want to see it? I can post it. It's fine. If some of you guys forgot, that's okay. Post it here. There it is. I just posted 3 of the trades that we had, some of the major trades we had from the last week or two. Just take a look at that, and I want you guys to answer me now if you've seen any flow like that this week. Have you on the Flow AI? Especially for Tesla. I mean, Tesla's a name that we see flow on all the time, aggressive flow, but this week it's been super quiet, right? Just let me know if you've seen any notifications on your phone like this. Yeah, I would say it's been pretty quiet this week, right? So if the smart money is staying out, I mean, that was just my main point here, guys. If the smart money is showing a lack of positioning, no need to try and jump that. There's no need to try and revenge trade your last loss to kind of make that win, because trust me, you're just gonna send yourself a vicious cycle down that. Trying to do that is not the best for your mental capital either. Even if you're just gonna blow your last money, it's not even good for your mental capital. So I'm trying to help everyone out here. Preserve that mental capital, preserve the actual capital for the quality setups. I know I mention it all the time, but this time the quality is actually missing, right? And we can see the smart money's is like it's not even there. And I just posted a few examples. If you want to compare that to the flow you saw this week, feel free. If you have any questions, concerns, let me know in the chats. But I just thought this was a kind of mandatory thing that I would have to do here just to get everyone kind of on sync as to what's going on in the current market environments, what's going on. It might be unusual. A lot of setups aren't working out. You might be finding yourself trading more losing setups than winning setups. And that's exactly why you should be staying away from the market. If it's not your style, if it's not your edge, best thing that you could do is stay away. But that's it, guys. I just wanted to keep it pretty brief, so under 30 minutes, and I think that should be good. I'll put up the recording for anyone that wants after the close. Um, and if I have any other updates or anything that I missed out, I will let you guys. I'll fill you guys in on that.